Dear Grandad, this is everything I've been working on for the last 2 years in the garden. 1 year of planning and 1 year of hard work to where we are now, and there's so much to do. I normally would show you in person, but unfortunately I only really see you in November when you come back, and of which my garden won't be looking anything like how it does now. So I thought I'd make some videos, pop them on the internet so that you can get the updates as and when they happen in real time. So here we go. So this is the garden as of today. Lots to do. So this fences off the perennial garden from the rest of the garden, so the tortoises are separate from the dogs to keep them safe. This here is our, when it goes back into focus, sorry, I'm using a phone and I'm not using any fancy editing for this video because again, I'm a gardener, not an IT specialist. So this planter back here, hopefully it will stop zooming in on my finger. Here is our salad planter or our shaded garden bed. And this one is incomplete. The only bit that is complete is this tiny little section here where the chilies are. Well, I've nicknamed Mr. Chili Pepper because I like to sing to my chili planter. And its current theme song is Mr. Chili Pepper, ba-bang, bang, ba-bang, bang, Mr. Chili Pepper, and she seems to grow lovely for me when I sing to her, so I gave her a little theme song just to make her feel good. You'll notice there's loads of Buddhas around the garden, and that is from having a well-being officer live in your house. So lots of zen and tranquility here. I do have to be really careful because I'm allergic to the sun and we're approaching sundown, so it's nice to be outside for me until I come over the top of this shed and the sun is literally there. So I'm hiding currently, so you might see some crooked camera angles. I do apologise, but hey hi. Come out the back door, we've got this is our herb planter, Moroccan mint, dead coriander or dying coriander, and this is rosemary. The little pots are not big enough to hold enough soil to keep them hydrated in this weather, so they are dry, unhappy and stressed. The top thing up the top there was basil, however you want to pronounce it, that all died. It got way too hot for it. The cat sprawled herself out. Let me protect her modesty. But that is my table of forgotten plants during the hardening off process. I just neglected them and forgot them. Doggy pool. Yes, it is a sandpit for the dog because he'd chew a soft one. I think I'm going to start along this side. So down the patio, onto the ground, onto the concrete poured thing. Everything is slug, earwig, caterpillar and other insect bitten. Everything is. I've not long done a nematode application. And since the application, it was been 98% effective within 2 days. I still go outside with a torch at 11 o'clock at night to still pull insects off, but I'm now pulling less than 100 because, I mean, that's slug damage. They ate into the main stem. I don't know if that is going to damage the plant. I don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully it doesn't. The hose splits here. So we've got one on a line and one not on a line. And that is because we are getting irrigation, so I don't have to water everything. Oh, I just need to put my hood up. I've come into full sun. Oh, grandma and her skin problems, eh? I'm sure you're chuckling right now with your perfect genetics. Anyway, back down here. So again, perennial garden is at the back here with a couple of annuals, and then we've got a veg planter here. So I'll start at the end. That's for the tortoise. If I see the tortoise, I'll give you a little snapshot. But we've also got the neighbour's tortoise, so I'm not going to put him on blast because, you know, protect his dignity and all. In fact, I think she's took herself to bed. Yeah, she took herself to bed. That's Tikwa. Her birthday is the 27th of August 2015. I've had her since, I want to say, or September, October. I think I got her in October, did I? Or did I get her in December? No, I got her in November. November 2015 we've had her. And she was so small, she could fit in the palm of my hand. How times have changed, because she's bigger than me now. My hand, that is, not my body. I'm not that skinny. This here is where we're going to grow peas. Sugar snap peas, I've decided. Before I was unsure, which is why there's now 5 versions of the same video, because at first I was going to do runner beans, then I was going to do green beans, then I was going to do garden peas, and then I thought, no, all of those just can't be bothered. Sugar snap peas, easy peasy. Grapevine, which has, if you see here, oh, thumb come out the way, started to make me grapes. In fact, let me pick up one of these bamboo sticks so that when I want to point, I don't have to take the video out of focus. So yeah, we got grapes coming here and here. They must be a purple variety, I don't know. That could be, or they could be black actually. I don't know, we've had them for about 5 years and that's a very faded label. And there is other vines in here, like this one, but it died. There was one in front of this pot here, but it died. And there was another one in this side here, but it died. So we definitely don't have green grapes anymore, that's all I know. And I don't eat purple ones. Oh, you're finally going to learn how much of a fussy eater I am, and that's why I haven't come to any of the family dinners. I do apologise, but I'm very choosy, as Mum calls it in the hospital. So, going down the line, we'll start with the perennial garden because it's quicker and easier to go up and down with. So, this Buddha protects my asparagus. The asparagus has got wood pellets on it that break down into garden fertiliser for slug control, because I don't want slugs out of this soil to eat these. These are watermelons. They're a month behind, so hoping for the best, but they are behind. And the watermelons are going to travel up this trellis. I'm also being as careful as I can not to get the neighbour's garden in, because I don't want to disrespect the neighbours, so there might be some cut out frames. Another Buddha, because why not, well-being officer. This is the new blueberry plant that we got less than a couple of weeks ago. When did we get it? In fact, no, it was a month ago now. Oh, how the times have changed. Lots of clay ground. Don't tell Dad, I've not fixed the soil yet. But this will go no bigger than 6 foot. So this will be a tree, a small tree. This will stay a bush. So this is standard blueberry. This is a blue jay blueberry tree that can go up to 6 feet. Sorry, excuse the cabbage. I've not got to that part yet. We're still in the blueberries. And then this one is a lemonade blueberry. So that's a cross between a blueberry plant and a non-blueberry plant to make those. And then we've got more melons to go over the whole trellis. So we've got some from each side. And then we go Crown Prince squash, which are the green pumpkin looking squashes. And they'll come up the whole trellis. Sorry, you can't see the top of the trellis. I don't want to get the neighbour's garden, out of respect. And these here are also along this line are squashes. Some have only just started, and you can see the one behind it's really far ahead. So I don't know why these ones are behind. Barricaded from my tortoise, because my tortoise ploughs into it. The neighbour's tortoise is so respectful for my garden that I kind of don't want to give him back, but I guess we'll have to at some point. These are butternut squash. The spade's here to stop them from being trodden over and eaten by the tortoise, but they're not doing great. Again, butternut squash along here. That one's just sparked up, and the one just there's sparked up, but the rest of the pots were still waiting for some growth. The original one in here did come out, but it got killed, so I put another one in. Here is our Pudsey pumpkins, generic pumpkins. And they're going to go up that trellis. Oh, I didn't make it clear that the butternut squash have their own separate trellis. That's our apple tree. Look how many apples. She's got a really bad aphid infection, which is what all these curly leaves are. I think it's aphids anyway, because there's loads of ants running up and down the main stem, and after research they told me that. If it's not that, I'd love tips on anybody else that sees this video to tell me whether or not it is aphids or apple scab. I don't think it's apple scab yet though. Yeah, so the Pudsey pumpkins are going to go over this tortoise box. This tortoise box we got because we've got a tortoise box down there, but the cats also sleep in it, and we've got 2 cats that are outdoors, so it didn't seem fair. So this is a black currant. She's very wild. Since the rainfall, she's sort of fanned out. She was upright and really neat and tidy, but just here is a pumpkin that's not died. Behind it is some that haven't sparked up yet. Is it a Bambino pumpkin and a Pudsey pumpkin? The only one that's came up is the Pudsey pumpkin. The Bambino ones haven't. Just here was cucumber, but like I said, my tortoise ploughed straight through that, hence why there's now bricks barricading it. And the cucumber I've restarted, hopefully in time, might not be, and that's to go on that trellis. And then blackberry, it's a little baby one, but it's to keep the raspberries a bit more civilized. This is just going to be like a wild area. So this is a 6-year-old raspberry bush bramble. This is one of the genetically modified ones that doesn't come with the spike, so it's got really nice smooth stems, which is really handy for picking, not spiky at all. This is also a genetically modified bramble. This is blackberry again. This one also no spikes along the stem, no thorns. This one's in flower, just about to make me fruit. This one has got fruit. I'm just waiting for it to turn and ripen, which would be really fun. Luckily, we've got fantastic neighbours and their boys are loving the raspberries that we grow. So we might be able to enlist some help this year with my harvest. So that's the brambles, but these two are the genetically modified too. And then, ironically, the smaller bramble that I just showed you is a wild bramble that just grew here, and she's really thorny and spiky and quite dangerous to stand near, and she's stabbing me raspberries, which isn't very good at all, really. Right, I'm going to go all the way back to the entrance to the perennial garden to do the veg garden, because I've got veg planters now, so I've got a raised bed. These are peas that we brought from Marks and Sparks. I know, Marks and Spencer's, who can afford their food these days? But yeah, got some Marks and Spencer's garden peas, and they all decided to root themselves in the bag in the fridge, so I planted them. I think a week ago, and I planted them quite deep, hoping it'd take them a while to pop up, and they've just come through the soil. This is a very well eaten monarch cabbage. They literally ate the crown, and I had to rip all the leaves off and pray for the best. I didn't think it was going to work, because I had to transplant it as well. It was very scary times. Here's one that's also been bitten and eaten, but it has made me a ball. That is about the size of a tennis ball, maybe 2 fists squeezed together. And that one is about the size of a ping pong ball. But I got 2 of them. I grow 2 really close together, so that one's facing one way, the other's facing the other way. That way I can fit 2 in a smaller space, because I do not follow seed spacing, because I've never needed to, and I've never had a problem with my harvest, ever, from following seed spacing. I did break the rules of companion planting. You are not supposed to plant a brassica and anything in the tomato or bell pepper family next to each other. As you can see, minus the insect damage, my peppers are thriving. Minus the insect damage, my cabbages are thriving. So ignore those rules. See, that's the bell pepper section. We've got sweet yellows, king reds, and then red fours. Never grown any of them before. Last year I did it based on the seeds out of a bell pepper in the kitchen, and the plant grew and grew and grew, but never flowered. So from this bamboo stick to halfway in this plant bed is white onions. They've been a bit trampled on because of how close they are to the fence. The dogs actually can lean on them a little bit, scare them a bit, but hey ho. This side is the red onion half. There is 40 plants in this one small area, but obviously they're spaced out appropriately. There is 40 to 50 carrots in this one particular area. This area is more rainbow carrots, but upon inspection, a lot of the carrots have popped themselves up out the soil a little bit. I mean, look at that. Look how big and healthy it is. I'm glad I chose a bamboo stick to point. It's kept the phone in focus. Because again, gardener, not a IT specialist. There was 40 plants in here, but every time we have a heat wave followed by a cold evening or the next day rain, one of my onions bolt, and I lost 3 from that line. There was 10 lines of 4 in this small bed, but there's probably about 25 left in it, and I mean look at that. That's quite the crooked one. It's probably going to bolt next, but I don't know much about onion bolting, so open for advice if anyone has any on that. I think if I do onion seed, it's less likely to bolt, because onion sets are obviously stored for 2 years and onions are biannuals, so we're going to definitely try seed next year. This section here is the F2 carrots that I bought from an F1 mantis. I really can't pronounce any of these names. They're just carrots in my world. I can't pronounce nothing. I'm not Latin. So yeah, these are just generic standard sized carrots. I have a lot of them. There is also 40 to 50 in that section. There was again 40 onions here. This is also red onion, but again you can see, I mean, that whole line of 4 had to come out. 3 here had to come out. It's been a nightmare trying to keep them well hydrated, but that's my fault for planting them in an area that receives absolutely no shade. This bed is, it was advertised as large carrots, sorry. So these are my large carrot section, and again there's 40 to 50 in this bed. I can't guarantee the number because you know what it's like with carrot seeds, you sow them outdoors and hope for the best, of which I definitely have got a lot of carrots and a lot of onions, so I'm not that mad that some are bolting because I just use them as spring onions because I can't store a bolted onion. Again, this is the white onion section. This only has white onions in this section. Most of them are got bent over and they're leaning sort of at that angle, and I don't know why, because the sun comes over my garden, sort of sun rises on this side and it goes over the top of my garden. Midday it's above this building here, and then sunset is literally in the angle so you don't see the neighbour's garden. Sunset is just behind those trees, so they literally, I don't know why they're leaning away from the sun. Clearly they don't like where they are, but hey ho. I'll put them in the shade next year so they're not so sad. These are Savoy cabbage. They are so behind because they were eaten to little stubs. I don't even think I can show you the little stub because it's literally so hard to see it. Everything is covered in bird netting while it's a seedling or small, because I don't want the cats to poo in the bed, because I think I'd be so incredibly sad. I think I'd have to bin it all. OCD me just could not handle that. So yeah, these are the Savoys. Where's my little stump gone? There it is. So just there is a Savoy. The slugs and earwigs literally ate all of its cotyledon leaves and forced it to have to grow more. So it must have really good roots under this soil. Because yeah, they all came back in the last 2 weeks from literal nubs, and I didn't think I'd get any. Happy days there. Oh, I'm at this end of the garden now, so we've only done that section and this is 18 minutes long, so I'm going to talk a bit quicker. Laurestin or wineberry, bit sad, but she's got little bee lights on it and the sun lights them up for me. Bay tree, edible, we don't eat anything off of it. My Hoya, well, you can see the slug damage there. And that was slugs and earwigs. I did my best to save it. Considering how bad this is, look how good the garden bed is next to it though. These are green ball cabbages. Oh, a couple of dead leaves off the big tree at the back of the house. So they're just starting to get eaten by earwigs because I got rid of all my slugs. I got nematodes to get rid of the slugs. That was 99% effective. But then I realised I've now ruined the ecosystem in my garden because now I've got too many earwigs for what I've got. This is grown. This is iceberg lettuce. This is all wasted because I didn't get nematodes in the ground quick enough. So this is so badly insect bitten that I personally wouldn't eat it. That might just be my OCD. I will eat a lot of insect bitten food, just not that. And then I restarted wild lettuce here and here. That there could be wild lettuce. It could also be an iceberg. I don't know. I mixed all my lettuce seeds up so that I'd have a couple of varieties on the go because I kept sowing all the same kind. So here to this line, sorry, the planter is breaking. I'm going to fix it at the end of the season. So here is all of the rocket. I don't know, do the Americans call it arugula? I don't know, it's very peppery. The tortoises love it. I solely grow it for the tortoises, but it's flowered and I hate it after it's flowered because it stinks. It smells like burning rubber. I bet it's really good mosquito repellent. It really does smell like rubber, like molten rubber. But I'm growing that as tortoise food. And then this is all the spinach that I grow for mum. Also under a cloth to stop the caterpillars from laying, well, the butterflies from laying their eggs on it. But it didn't go well because I put it next to kale. And look how good my red monarch kale is. I had to cut a hole in the mesh for that, and so the butterflies still get in and I still have caterpillars, and so I still come out every evening with a torch to take them all off because I didn't grow all of this for them to do it. The monarch kale was store-bought, £2 from B&Q for 6, worth it, because most of mine got eaten by slugs, but there is, out of the 14 plants I planted, there's one, this is black magic kale. No, that is black Tuscany kale here that I'm pointing to with the stick. That's my black magic kale. Most of it died. I put 4 seeds per pot, evenly spaced. That is black Tuscany that is the black kale, black magic kale. That's also black Tuscany kale. And then behind here is black Tuscany kale in a little seed pot sowing. I sow kale outside in a seed pot just because I killed it all under grow lights. I don't know how. My parsnip bed, for 2 months it did absolutely, was it 2 months? No, 3 months it did absolutely nothing. I worried that nothing was going to happen, and then since the heat wave everything's coming up and thriving. If anything, the soil here might be a bit too clayey or hydrophobic at first. I'm not sure because they're really slow growing, but I'm not bothered. The harvest for those is November. Tomatoes, not any yet, but they're self-fertile and they're in the shade because we don't eat a lot of tomatoes. Again, I don't eat tomatoes. Just to clarify, I don't eat anything in this garden bed. 3 cauliflower plants. They're way too close together, but as you can see, like, I'm losing a lot of plant per day. That's half the leaf gone. Again, half the leaf there is just gone. This one, it was planted first and it's the most behind. The one behind it is doing better. The one in front of it's doing better. There is only space there for 2. Eventually the middle one will get shaded out, but I don't know if one of the other 2 might die first because they are getting ransacked every night. I pull the most amount of insects from the brassica section. And then these are all my broccolis. There is too many in here because, let me just move this. You know what, using a stick was genius because I can just gently move it into the netting like so, and then move the leaf out the way. That literally dead. It was the same size as all of the other ones. The earwigs got to it and like they'd be doing damage. Same to that one back there. So I always overseed when it comes to broccoli because I know most of them are going to die. But these are all fed off irrigation collected from the roof, and because we've got a tree on it, it's basically fertilizer water because all these look at all the leaf litter everywhere. It's literally everywhere, right? So that is my garden so far. Oh, these are sad strawberries, not because I've not watered them, but because I transplanted them in the middle of a heat wave. That one is obviously not sad because that one's I grew myself from seed. It's been in there a long time. And that one, I just added these 2 because they were cheap. And I thought, well, there's no harm in losing them. So they're all my strawberries there and there. More water butts. We're ready for the water hose ban, let me tell you. Because they are killers. Ignore this janky patio. I'm small and dainty. I'm not strong. And so I can only work on it like for a couple of hours a day. And I've got to hide from the sun. So, I mean, I dug the trench one day, I put down the weed membrane. I started at this end, putting down the sub base. I've got some MOT type 1 to put underneath it because I want it to be slightly raised. I mean, look how deep I dug it there. But I want it to be slightly raised to meet that patio there. So I want it to meet that patio and this patio that's also not laid. I dug all this myself, by the way. And just to clarify, I am like 60 kilos at my heaviest weight, so I'm not strong. So I still need to lay all of this because the products don't come for 2 more days, and I need to get a brick saw to cut that, or an angle grinder. I might do an angle grinder because I can do that myself. Dad has to do a brick saw, health and safety and all. So yeah, I need to lay all this patio properly, but I've dug the trench. Behind here is going to be 2 main crop planters where I'm going to grow all the main crop potatoes. Currently behind this Buddha is sweet corn, which I'm going to walk towards. Where the sweet corn is, there won't be sweet corn next year. There's going to be sweet potato because mum and dad eat that in excess. They've probably got 20 different sweet potato in the house at all time, so might as well try and grow it. Don't know how successful it's going to be. This is my chili planter. It is the only planter in this whole area with soil because I did not have enough to fill everywhere. But when these go, they'll get filled too. So this is a store-bought one because mine are all behind. So this is my one. Look how small that one is. It's the slugs. They really did a number on me. They made me nervous putting things in the ground. This is a store-bought dahlia because I didn't know if insects needed to fertilize the chili seeds, and then I found out that they're self-fertile, so I didn't need to plant them. But they're there now and they look really pretty, so they're staying. The rocks were just to keep the leaves off the ground when I transplanted them, and then as soon as it was happy with the transplant, I took off all the lower leaves anyway, so I don't really know why I kept the rocks. Again, you can see the slug damage. This one is slug damage because whilst these planters were empty, they was used as compost. And that's where I moved all the slugs when I wasn't killing them. And the downside to that is that at the bottom of my planter where I dug a hole, because the ground is so unlevel, my compost is now coming out, and that's actually my potato plants because I did early potatoes. I did new potatoes, and I got about 2 to 3 kilos of new potatoes out of a couple of grow bags, and it was my first ever time doing it. Since then, Uncle Dean has given me all the knowledge I need to grow far better and healthier new potatoes for next year. So I'm going to have 6 grow bags next year of potatoes. More sad strawberries, but look at that one. That one's not a sad strawberry. Anyway, these are my sweet corn. Again, they're really close together, but that's going to be better because I'm only hoping to get a couple of ears. I've never done it before. Always for the experience that I can do better next year. This entire planter is actually a fire pit. I'm growing everything in here solely for my neighbour. Her little boy is like my BFFFL. I kid you not, I love him to bits. And he asked me to grow some radish and onions for him to harvest. So they'll be ready on the 11th of August for him. So I'm going to dry it out 2-3 days before I drop it round so it's lighter to carry. And then give him the same joy that I get of ripping out the harvest and doing it. I'm still in the process of growing the grass back. This patch here, you kind of can't tell because I've done really well. But it's from here all the way to here, had absolutely no grass at all since winter. So since the beginning of the year, I go out every couple of days. I aerate the lawn often. I put down topsoil, grass seed. I spent over £100 on grass seed, just getting the lawn back. There's a couple of thatched areas that I'm still working on. I mean, all this patio digging. You should have seen the grass under these patios. They were the healthiest parts because they're closest to the water irrigation for the lawn. Because the overflow from that one goes into that one. It then goes into this planter, trails down here, and it actually waters the lawn halfway up this planter. It just floods out into the lawn. And that one back there floods out into the lawn. We have a burn bin, but we don't use it at the minute because anything that we can burn in terms of paper, recycling, I put in the planters as additional filler that will eventually break down. These are obviously dog toys because we have dogs. That is a lawn sprinkler. So tomorrow my potato planters come for here. In a week the potato planter for here comes, but obviously can't do anything with it until that's gone. So tomorrow I'll be building 2 potato planters here, and on Wednesday my MOT base will come for under here and under here, because I forgot to level. You can see how unlevel my lawn is because that's the highest point up here and here's the highest. I mean, you can see the level change. That's ridiculous. So I'm going to level all that out and then be really sad at how much my lawn has compacted in the middle, because I'll truly be able to see its compaction in all its glory. Sorry this video is incredibly long, but as I said, I hardly get to see you, Grandad, and I thought I'd give you an update on the garden as it currently stands, even though everything is changing daily, because I am outdoors every single day, changing things, moving things and adding things. So you'll have to watch this space. I'll have to send you more videos, more budders, for you to see it all. But yeah, we're doing well. And as a sub note, Mum and Dad let me get grow lights indoors. So I now grow all of our own seeds now. Don't get any store-bought plugs, which I know I did this year, but it's because I was at uni and it was hard to obviously building that, filling that, building that, filling that. It was a lot. It's probably, Mum spent like £1,000, bless her, and I feel really bad on just planters and mud. I couldn't afford the birdies ones, but these are cheap, and as long as you fill them up properly, they'll be fine. It's not broken here. This planter is just slightly further back than this one, because I've used wood in areas to keep the planters up. So yeah, this is my garden, and eventually Mum wants to extend this patio, so I may need to buy some bricks and cut out this patio, but I'm not sure if we have to do a planning permission for that, because now we are getting close to taking up more than 1/3 of the garden for hard landscaping, and I know you have to keep a certain percentage of your garden as green landscaping to help with flash flooding, so I'm working on it. So yeah, that's my garden so far, and yeah, I'm open to all tips and feedback, and if you want to tell me how amazing I am, Grandad, again, I don't mind. I know I'm amazing. I'm just kidding. So yeah, that's that. Oh, here's a crazy idea. What do you think? I've put these 2 welly boot planters on the windowsill. I already left them there for a few days, so I know they're not going to fall down, and a llama. I'm thinking about putting something that creeps, like colourful and flowerful, that will like creep out, but here and here. Because next year I think I'm going to put all the carrots and onions over here, because I'm not following crop rotating, because I haven't finished the garden, so I've got loads of compost to put in. So this year was my trial year. Last year was my planning year, and next year I'm doing it for real. We're even doing purple broccoli. So hopefully one day when you come to visit, I'll send you back to your house when you come to visit with a little bouquet of stuff out the garden. Oh, I don't want to get the neighbour's garden again. Sorry, I just want to stay respectful to them, since I do have to put this onto YouTube for you to see it, because I couldn't condense the video because I love the garden. You know it's bad when my 1,000 indoor plants are all now really, really close to dead and stressed because I've just spent too much time in the garden. But it looks amazing, so can't be mad.